Hola mi gente, welcome to my channel. So I want to show you how I make this delicious barbecue ribs in the oven. These ribs are full of flavor, they're tender, they're delicious. So I'm going to teach you how to clean them up, season them up, and cook them up. So I'm going to show you stay to the end of the video and let's get started. Alright guys, so I have here my rack of rib. I'm using San Luis style ribs that I'm just going to go ahead and start taking the fat out. So the way you do this, any fat that you can pinch up, just like I did, you are going to go ahead and get rid of, alright? We are going to leave some fat because fat is still flavor, but anything that you can pinch up, you're going to cut it up. Now when you flip your rib over, my rib has this piece of meat just hanging out there. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove it, and I just did that by taking two pieces of the ribs out. And then you see this piece here, this skirt looking stuff, you are also going to cut it up. And mi gente, you do not want to skip the cleaning on your ribs because this is what's going to give you beautiful and tender ribs, all right? So after taking that out, at the other front end, I have this piece of meat that has no bone in it, which is that one over there. I'm also going to go ahead and cut that off. I want everything to cook nice and even. So, but this is still good meat, guys. You can use this for anything else. Just don't get rid of that steel meat that you can use. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take out the rib tip, which is the top part over here. And the easiest way that I find to do this is when just start to feel for the top of the bone in the rib. And then when you feel for that top, just cord it with your knife so you know where to cut it. And then you're going to go from the end to where, just follow that line that you made. And then just make sure you cut all of that. Make sure also your knife is nice and sharp when you do this, all right? So everything can come out nice and easy. Now I'm just gonna go ahead after taking out the rib tip. I'm just gonna go back to my rib and make sure that I'm happy with everything how it looks. I have no fat there that I can just pinch. You are gonna go ahead and cut that off. Now that I'm happy with how my rib is looking, now I'm gonna remove the membrane. So the way you do this, get a butter knife and get in between the membrane and the bone, trying to lift that membrane up, and then when you lift it up and you can get a nice grip, get a piece of paper and just pull that membrane off, mi gente. I was so happy when it came out in just one pull. So after you clean your ribs and you're happy with what it looks, we're going to start seasoning. So for my binder, I don't have mustard. I know a lot of people use mustard. You can also use oil or just don't use a binder. But I'm using sazón líquido, and a binder is a good idea because you don't want the spices that you put on your rib to, to come out of it. So everything that I'm using for my seasonings, mi gente, all of these spices are going to be down in the description. I know you don't want to hear me naming all of them, but any spice rub that you like, any dry barbecue rub that you like will work very well with these ribs. I'm telling you, you have to make this your own. Any flavor you want to put in this, go for it. And remember, the same love you show on the back of your ribs, you are going to flip it over and show the same love, all right? And make sure everything is coated with that seasoning. All right, mi gente. So after seasoning both sides of your rib, remember we are seasoning both sides, and you want to be heavy-handed when you season. All right, don't be scared of putting some flavor into these ribs. This is what my ribs look like, and they look amazing. So you can let it marinate a couple of hours. You can let it marinate overnight. But I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. I'm telling you, these seasonings, they just make this rib so flavorful. So now make sure you preheat your oven at 300 degrees, and we are going to go ahead and start wrapping our ribs. So you just want to make sure you wrap them nice and tight. I ended up using two pieces of aluminum foil, one from the bottom and one from the top. But you just want to make sure that no steam comes out, all right? Just make sure your ribs are nice and wrapped, just like this. Now you're just going to transfer it to your baking dish, and we're going to cook it for 2 hours at 300 degrees, all right? So after 2 hours, this is what they look like. Just be very careful removing the top of the foil. So now we are going to go ahead and add some butter to it. So hear me out. The butter is just going to make it juicy, tender, and it's going to prevent them from drying up. I'm using unsalted butter as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some honey. I'm going to start adding barbecue sauce now. And I'm also going to go ahead and add some brown sugar. So between the honey and the brown sugar is going to give it such a good taste and color. Also, that's going to help you give your ribs that beautiful color that you saw at the beginning. So after adding those ingredients, you're gonna go ahead and wrap it up again. Just don't wrap it up too tight because you don't want the aluminum foil. You don't want that butter to stick to the aluminum foil. So now you're just gonna go ahead and put it back in the oven at the same temperature, 300 degrees for about 30 minutes. And this is what my ribs look like. You just want the butter to melt and that brown sugar and the honey to, get it in there. So at this point, we are gonna cook our ribs on cover. So this is when you're gonna add your favorite barbecue sauce, and you're just gonna brush your barbecue sauce all on those ribs. All right. So I'm just gonna get rid of some of that water that's there, and I'm gonna use some of it just to base my ribs. So I'm just gonna do that just this one time. So now I'm gonna put up the temperature for my oven at 400 degrees, and I'm gonna put my ribs back in there and cook it for another 20 to 25 minutes until they look like this. Oh my God, you cannot tell me these ribs don't look amazing. Oh, look at the color. Look at just the shine on these ribs. And let me tell you, this bone, it's just come out so easy. I was trying not to burn myself. So you want to transfer it to a cutting board and just let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. Pero off, this looks so good. My house smells amazing. So now all we're gonna do is just to cut and serve. Oh my God, this cuts so easily, guys. You have to make this. Please go back to the beginning of the video and you have to learn how to make this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y buen provecho.